But we have to have the growth in order, we have to continue to get new people to offset the people that we're losing because, the revenues. We got to have the revenues.
Jack, I had to cut you off because I decided to make the show live. Because we're just like 10 seconds ago, don't freak out on me, buddy.
You see that now.
You're talking. We got you rolling early. So, welcome to the Practical Pistol Show, a very special one. We're going to do a series of interviews with, as many of the USPSA presidential candidates as possible. So, we got Jack Suber, we've got Mike Foley, Manny Bragg is running, and Paul Hyland is running. We've reached out to all of them. Paul Hyland declined because we use naughty language on this show, which is totally fine. Manny has a scheduling issue. I'm not sure if he'll be on or not. My sense at this point is he won't. But that leaves Jack and Mike. So we've got Jack Suber with us here. We're going to talk with him about what he wants to do, why he wants to be president, what being president of the organization means to him. The whole goal here is to have you, the listeners, you get to make a more informed decision about who you vote for, or even if you're going to vote at all. And kind of this is a good thing to do because I think you guys got one page in front site to talk about who you are and what you want to do. Jack, is that right? One page?
Verbiage and all of that, the wording and all, word count. So yeah.
Right. So that's not that good. So here's how it's going to roll. I'm going to ask Jack kind of the general questions, and then ask some follow-ups to help me out here with that. We got Hopkins and Candace, as usual. If you listen regularly, you know them. And then I'll ask a few questions that people submitted that are, I don't know, non-confrontational-ish, but interesting at the same time. So, Jack, you ready to get this kicked off?
Sure. Let's go at it.
All right. First question: who is Jack Suber? Who is this guy?
Okay.
People want to know. Who are you?
All right. Who am I? I'm a guy who has been playing this game on the USPSA side since 1996. I first started shooting Uspsa in 1985 overseas. Section coordinator for 12 years. I did the grunt work, the unappreciated work for the time, but I loved it because I loved the game. I'm a match director, club match director for both Steel Challenge, USPSA, CRO, and all of that. But I've always been concerned about the sport and sacrificed my own performance, for lack of a better word, just to see that the matches get underway and all of that. Had to. Somebody's got to do the work, right? And but I love it. I absolutely love putting on matches and whatnot. And so I decided, last February, when it was announced that Phil wasn't going to run, that I wanted to run for the presidency because I didn't like some of the things that were going on with USPSA. Primarily, the way I see it is right now USPSA is being run like a club, but it's a business. It needs to be run like a business. And I think a lot of the problems that we're seeing now is because it is not being run like a business. The game has evolved.
Yeah.
Since it was first formed, since USPSA was first formed, it has evolved, and I don't think we have kept up with that evolution, at least in the business aspect of USPSA.
Okay, good. So, I guess to back up a little bit in regards to your biography, to be more precise, do you have like a job experience that you feel's helpful for USPSA president, or no?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I just retired from the federal government April 18th, and what I did formerly was called a financial analyst. I wrote development grants to local governments and nonprofits. Okay, um, which meant that before I gave the nonprofits and the local government money, I had to go in and do management and financial assessments of them. They had to come and present me with a viable plan. I had to look at all the aspects, their audits, their bookkeeping, their management structure in order to determine whether or not they were viable to fund. So I have considerable experience in assessments of nonprofits. Um, Also have served on several nonprofits in the leadership capacities and whatnot. I also, years ago, my brother and I started a company called MG Suber and Associates. We are consultants to the firearms industry overseas, and that was going to be my retirement job. And so we're very successful. We have offices in Ecuador, and of course here in Columbia, South Carolina, and that's kind of so, I do have exposure in the firearms industry. Uh, so,
Yes. All right, so that's good. You got a background. It sounds to me like, I think most people listening would be like, all right, this guy has some sort of a background managing organizations or that sort of thing. All right, let's go on to the problems with USPSA.
okay.
What are the problems with the organization as you see it?
All right. First and foremost, again, it's that club mentality, and we need to start looking at us like as a business.
All right, give me an example, like for people who, a lot of people just go shoot their club matches and they don't know what the hell you're talking about. What is what is the club mentality?
All right. Well, the club mentality, what I mean is and looking at the board structure and how things get done. There's a lot of frustration now because the business doesn't seem to get taken care of timely. Clear example here is the issue that's going to be discussed in the upcoming board meeting. It's always been I see it as a casual approach to running the business of USPSA. That's got to change. We can't.
But the issue that's going to be discussed in the upcoming board meeting is the non-payment of the range in St. George for the last two nationals.
Exactly.
Right? To get people up to speed so they know what you're referring to.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That if you go to the USPSA forum, there is a long discussion that started today. Actually, I asked a question when I saw the board the agenda, because there's very specific, saying we need to discuss this about payments to the range in St. George, and I specifically asked, does this mean they have not, we don't have a budget, and that's what's confirmed. We're 5 months into the year now, and we don't have a budget. You can't run a business that way.
Pretty good.
That's a fairly concrete example of a problem that you'd fixed some way.
Right.
Okay.
And I have experience in setting up budgets for nonprofit organizations and auditing them, make sure that the budgets are viable and all. So it's issues like that. You hear a lot of people who say, well, I don't care about the politics or the business of USPSA, I just want to shoot. Well, what happens when this situation right here causes another range to say, no, I don't want to host the Nationals?
Well, hasn't this issue caused the
World Speed Shooting Championship?
Yes. So that match will either not be happening or it's definitely not happening there.
It's not going to happen there, and it's likely, from what I've read on that forum today, it's likely not going to happen because it's too late. Now, you got people who planned on that, maybe already had travel done, and look what's happened.
Well, 6 weeks out, you probably have booked a plane ticket at the least.
Yeah. And so the mentality is, I don't care about the politics, I just want to shoot. Well, now it's affecting the people who just want to shoot. Think about the Nationals now. What's to stop the new venue from saying, hey, pay me up front?
Yeah. Okay. What other problems do you see at USPSA?
Well, this type of the way we do business, I think, is impacting investment in our sport. Read that as sponsorship. Okay. Yeah. Why would an industry, why would a business want to invest when they see, lackadaisical management of the organization? They're seeing these issues pop up, and it's taking so long for the issues to be addressed. Where's the leadership?
Well, all right. Some people might say, they might look at this and say, the organization on the surface does a good enough job. The real problem is all these people publicly criticizing the organization. So all you guys on the internet complaining all the time, you guys are making the organization look bad. They might say that, because I've heard that. I get that sometimes.
I bet.
I don't know what you're talking about. Who would? Yeah.
So what about it, Jack? Maybe the real problem is all these internet trolls.
Well, then if that's the case, maybe I'm one of these internet trolls too. Because if you remember, I started questioning a bunch of these issues back in February.
Yes.
February. And they're issues that have to be addressed, and the problem is these issues would be they wouldn't linger if they were addressed in a timely manner, if they were addressed publicly. Not publicly. I mean, obviously personnel issues and all that you can't address publicly, but there needs to be better communication from the leadership to the membership. We have a forum, a USPSA forum. When was the last time you were on there? I mean, nobody goes there.
I was on there
today.
That was I had to do like a password recovery because I didn't remember my password.
Right. When's the last? Have you seen Phil on there?
Wait, like on a forum?
Yeah.
I've seen him post on Facebook a couple times.
There's a president's forum on there. 0 posts.
Well, everything's fine. He doesn't need to post.
I mean, that's not the way to lead the organ. You need to have the communication. When these issues come up, you need to address them quickly. And, I think the reason that the internet has been blown up the way it is because the membership feels they're not getting that kind of communication. They're not getting value for their membership.
There has been one time in recent history where USPSA responded and communicated really quickly. Sorry, I got a little dogfight going on here.
Mine's running around my office right now too. I'm hoping he's not going to get in the trash can.
Oh, recycle your pets! Come on.
Recycle your pets, people. I can think of one time in recent history where this kind of the USPSA did respond quickly, and this was the unplanned targets video, where we had the dude downrange, and NROI got on it within 24 hours.
Yes, they did. Yes,
and what was interesting about that is very much the exception. It seems recently.
Yeah. And, well, I mean, is it the heat? Is it the heat because of all the public outcry? But you also had to consider that could have been very, very bad in so many different ways. They had to act. And so, but my hat's off to Troy for responding as quickly as he did. And so, yeah, I mean, we dodged a bullet on that one, no pun intended.
No, I think the guy dodged several of them.
Wow. That has happened to me. I was at an area match in 1998 and drew my pistol and was preparing to fire the first shot when an RO came around a wall. And, people give me flack because I'll yell that the range is going hot before I step back and load the shooter up. Well, that's why, because I've actually had that happen to me. I'm going to make sure that cannot happen if I hold that timer. So, but
all right.
Anyway, going back to one of the things, what I think needs to be done with USPSA. You've heard me say this a couple of times. A plan. How do we get investment from sponsors and all of that if we don't have a business plan? We have no plan. Where do we want to go? Where are we now? We want to grow the sport. What is too much? Where do we want to get to? And see, that's the first thing I want to do. If I get the call that I win the election, I will be on a plane within 3 days out to Burlington to start looking at what we do. see how the operation, how the business is managed, whether it's efficient, where we can save costs, and then present a plan to the board that this is how we got to fix things and change the way we do things.
Is it in the mix for you to move there or no?
No.
You think that's needed?
No. But one of the things, should we, this plan, this assessment I'm talking about, we need to look at, do we need to still be a 501c3? Do we need to change the type of nonprofits we are? Do we need to look at relocating headquarters to a more centralized location where all the board members could go for at least one meeting a year? These are the kind of things. Yes, this structure, this location, and all of that might have been great in 1986, but does it serve the organization, effectively right now in 2015? I think there's some aspects of that it does not. A nonprofit can make money if you do it the right way. This idea that we can't do anything that generates significant income, that's just not correct. So these are the kind of questions that we need to sit down and say, look, here are the questions. This is what we need to look at, and this is a plan of what we're going to change.
All right, Jack. So a lot of people are listening to this and they're like, well, what do you mean you're going to go there? We're going to vote for you, then you're going to go there, and then you're going to come up with a plan. Mm-hmm. They want the plan now.
Oh, I know. There's several aspects right now, that can be addressed. But we still, the first thing of the plan is we need to see, are we operating effectively now? Is the management structure, are the finances in order?
Well, it sounds like the answer to that's no. But
well, I want to know that. I want to verify that.
Right, and you can't verify that now because
I haven't seen enough to do so. I mean, I've seen the financial statements that are.
What I'm getting at is, as just a member of the membership right now, is it possible for you to even come up with a specific plan, or like look at the USPSA finances or something? Is that even possible right now for you?
You mean, do I have access to that information?
Correct.
Yeah.
No.
Nothing other than what is published right now. And wasn't there an audit that was published in like December or something like that? I can't remember. But no, not enough to satisfy me. And this is what I used to do professionally. I used to go in and so I expect more. I need to see more.
All right, good. Are there any other USPSA problems, big ones that you want to talk about?
Are we marketing well enough? Are we marketing to recruit new people? What is our marketing? I mean,
annual issue and the website.
And the website. The website.
The website.
Hey, the website was great in 1998, and it's great now, right?
No, and when was that supposed to be redone?
Got me. I don't know. It was. I've heard talk of it being redone or fixed or something for a long time, and haven't seen anything happen.
Yeah. It's too tedious. I've had new shooters go to the website and just say, hey, where am I supposed to look for the information they're looking for? It needs to be revamped. But how do we reach new shooters? How do we reach the new gun owner that just went to a gun store and bought a gun for the first time, has been out to the range a couple of times, and wants to shoot? To me, the marketing needs to be done at the grassroots level. And
so let's talk. What would your vision be? What would you like to see? Let
me tell you what I've done that has been successful for us here. Every major match that we've held in South Carolina when I was a section coordinator, I did press releases. Okay. We had media coverage at most of our matches, television and print newspapers. What that does is when your regular guy You know, Jack Suber sitting down in front of his TV, he sees Shooting USA. Hey, that's cool. I see those guys on, running around doing USPSA. That's pretty cool. All of a sudden, they see it on the local news. Wait a minute, that club's 20 minutes away from my house. It's close. It's not on TV. It's not out in California or whatever. It's right here near where I live. I can go out there and see that. I can go try it. And that's why we need to focus on some kind of marketing at the grassroots level. I would like to see USPSA do a press release for every major match in the country in the local media, just so to get the people from those areas out to see what's going on at our matches.
So, just so we're clear, you'd like to see that the central USPSA office is making this happen. No, this would not be on the match director.
Right. Match director's already got his hands full.
I believe they had that, actually. They had a consultant, I think, probably 4 years ago that was doing that.
What happened?
The board happened.
That's the problem. When I reference this plan, you look at everything the board seems to have done in the last 8 years. It all seems to be reactionary. Oh, 1 year we're going to do this. Next year we're going to do this. There's no set plan or path, and so there's no consistency with how USPSA does its business. That's what needs to happen. A plan with the direction of USPSA, where we want to go, what goals we want to achieve, has to be sold to the board. But the board has to buy into it and understand that this benefits USPSA, and then watch what happens. That way, you take that plan, you go to your sponsors, and you say, look, this is what we want to do, and this is how it's going to benefit you. And we don't do that right now. We call on the same kind of sponsors, and we say, hey, we want you to sponsor this match. What is the benefit now from the sponsors? What are they getting out of it? How can they see a quantifiable benefit from their sponsorship or support of USPSA?
As a guy that sponsors matches occasionally, I get jack shit. I get a slot to the match.
And maybe
honestly, financially, does not make sense to sponsor USPSA matches unless you're going and you want a slot.
Right.
Are you looking for something to sponsor, I don't know, let's say Red Bull sponsoring USPSA or something like that? And there'd be Red Bull everywhere.
I think that could be done. Frank Garcia has gotten Coca-Cola to sponsor one of the Florida Opens years ago. You know how he did it? That head. Using that turtle target. Heads off the target. So
let's talk about that.
It's a pretty controversial topic right there, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, this will be good. This is good fodder for conversation.
Yep.
So, are you talking about we're going to use turtle targets for everything, or
no?
You make that a rule, or what?
What if for level 3 and up?
So area matches on up. It's the turtle targets.
Why not just take our target and remove the head off of it? Same target.
Because they already make the turtle targets.
Well, you need the head to tell you which way it's facing.
Yeah. That has been the humanoid target. Is always caused a lot of concern with people. People are very passionate about it, but I think if we took that aspect out of it, I really think we could get your Red Bull sponsors. Look at the Chevy Team Challenge. Look at the people who sponsor that. That's a gun sport.
I'm not familiar with it.
It used to be a 4-man team challenge with different disciplines, everything from shotgun to rimfire to pistol and all of that. Doug Koenig was big into it years ago. Chevrolet, Coke, Budweiser, I think all of them sponsored it. It could be done if approached properly. But again, you got to have a plan. You got to go to these people. If you're going to go to companies like that, you have to have a plan.
What about the guys who say, I want the target with the heads on it, and I want to shoot. I like power factor. I like the defensive roots of the sport because America, and I view it as kind of kowtowing to anti-gun sentiment if we take the heads off the target.
Well, I'll say this: we actually had a guy show up at our gun club for the March match to watch USPSA, and he said we are training to kill people. And
was he happy about that or not
no,
happy?
No,
Oh,
he was
okay.
not happy, and that's the first time that if somebody's actually shown up at our range and actually mentioned that.
That's interesting. If I go on some other forums around the internet, I will be told very explicitly we're not training to kill people.
We're training to be killed by people.
You know what? If my Toys for Tots match, I use the turtle targets, and I do that for a couple of reasons. Yeah, it's Toys for Tots. For the sponsorships, because I get non-traditional sponsors there, but also because I get media coverage, TV coverage every year, and I just would rather not have to deal with that. Oh, the Marines are out there doing a Toys for Tots match, and they're shooting at humanoid targets. I mean, look, I've been playing this game long enough. I can go either way with it, but my belief, if we want to grow the sport with sponsors and get non-traditional sponsorship and investment, I think that's a hurdle. I think that's an obstacle.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I used to very firmly fall in the I want to shoot at targets that look like people because America camp, because that was my emotional feeling. But I've talked to enough guys from overseas now. It was interesting. I talked to a member of one IPSC region in Europe, and there was a mass shooting, not even in his country, but near it, and the legislators there can move so quickly. And this guy is in meetings with the legislators in his country, showing them video of what they do, and trying to still have a place for IPSC in his country. And
Right.
he's fighting for their sport, for their guns, for everything. And he said, flat out, like, Ben, if we didn't have the turtle targets, we'd have been fucked.
Done.
We'd have been fucked.
Right.
Straight up. So I've kind of softened up on that a little bit, and I also use those for practice pretty much exclusively. I just buy the turtles.
It's hard. It's hard to shoot those, And what is it? 30% smaller surface area than our target.
Yes.
And but Ben, you've traveled out of the country to world shoots and all of that.
Yeah.
If you take note of the sponsorship at other matches. You go to South America, you'll see Coca-Cola, you'll see Isuzu, you'll see HP, and all of that. Those are foreign, subsidiaries of the companies, but still, there's something there that we need to look at. If in fact that's what the membership wants, do they want to grow that way and have that kind of corporate sponsorship?
Well, what would we do with the money? I mean, that's my question. If you want,
that's why it's called money, Candace.
Because
ideally, seed money and operational money for clubs. Pay out to competitors. Increase the payouts to competitors.
What do you mean increase?
Well,
have some.
That implies that there currently are some.
I like to brag on our match. You know how much we paid out in our state championship last year? Almost $14,000. That's a section championship. So it can be done if you pay attention to the money, And so, but yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of the, area matches, the questions about area matches and all that, not paying out and all. That's for the area directors to work those out in the individual areas, unless, our plan changes.
All right, good. Hopkins, you have any follow-ups so far?
No, I have pretty much new questions at this point.
All right. Well, first, I'd like to move to the questions we pulled off Facebook, the ones that weren't totally retarded. One guy's question was, why can't we have a true single USPSA Nationals in one place? All the same stages for all, everybody's shooting the same 3 or 4 days. Wouldn't it be logical for ROs to at least have a week off from work instead of multiple times in a year? Wouldn't it be nice to have that? That's this guy's question. So I guess this cuts to the core of what you believe in terms of Nationals format, because that is in the president's wheelhouse, I suppose.
Yeah, it is. It's the responsibility of the president. Ideally, I'd like to see one big Nationals, but the question is cost. That was one of the questions in the front side issue. I'd like to see the cost of the Nationals. I'd like to see how much what the budgets have been. I'd like to see how much money we owe for the last one before I make a decision on that. I also understand and have been told that there's pushback from the industry for the idea of having one large Nationals because you have their pros who want to shoot multiple divisions.
Is there pushback from the industry or from the industry pros?
I don't know. But I've always heard that that's why we don't do that anymore, is because the pros have to be able to shoot different. And I don't know if that's from their companies.
Well,
that's from them themselves.
My sense of it, as I guess I'm more of an industry outsider than insider, but just from conversations with people and kind of seeing how things go at SHOT, I'm not sure that the industry, as a whole, really gives a shit about USPSA.
Why is that?
I don't know.
I can kind of answer on that. I mean, it's tiny. It's tiny. Our sport compared to the industry as a whole is next to nothing.
All right. And so if we want to get more investment, how are we going to show them value for that?
Well, Hopkins, you actually are in charge of a little bit of CZ USA sponsorship, right? Some guns and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I do the USPSA side of our sponsorship.
So, I don't know if you can talk about it, but as far as your internal conversations there at CZ, how do they decide which sport is getting what and which sport gets value? Because you guys do shotgun sports and I don't know what else you do.
It's all budgeted at the beginning of the year, and you have kind of broad picture of what you want to do for the year.
Right. So, in those conversations, what do you think would make USPSA more valuable to those? In those conversations around the industry.
It's a number. It's a numbers game. More people that are going to be there, more people that are shooting the sport, more people that you can get in front of, way better.
Visibility.
That's all it comes down to. So how would you, Jack, grow the sport or look to do that sort of stuff?
Well, it's the marketing. I think we're not reaching people that we want to introduce to the sport.
Who are those people?
Your new gun owners, in people who want to come out and shoot, the people that I mentioned who have seen it on TV but never knew that it was an hour away from them, 30 minutes away from them. The thing that frustrates me, about Steel Challenge, is and let me give you history about this. When we acquired Steel Challenge, I was absolutely against the purchase of it. I didn't like the way the deal was done. I didn't like how it was not, all the aspects of that purchase were not disclosed to the membership. But I saw value in Steel Challenge for new shooters, recruiting new shooters. You not only can get your new guy out there, but you can get the new guy with mom and the 2 kids out there doing Steel Challenge. And the next thing you know, they're looking, okay, well, this is fine. How do we shoot more? And then you can say, hey, well, let me show you USPSA. And so, I think we're squandering an opportunity with Steel Challenge. Look what the NSSF did with the rimfire program they had, and now, or Ruger, and both of them. I mean, that's an opportunity there to reach new people, to introduce them to competitive shooting, and then transition them into more advanced shooting later on. I don't think we're doing a good job of that. I think what we did to Steel Challenge, we own it now, and we're killing it, and that's pathetic. So, again, that kind of activity, that kind of mismanagement, for lack of a better word, why is anybody going to want to invest in the sport? You had an opportunity like this, and you bought it, you paid for it, you used, organization money, and now you're letting it just waste away.
All right, good. Another question from Facebook. What is the last decision that an elected official made at the national level that resulted in a specific, measurably positive impact on shooters at the local level at a typical weekend match?
A positive.
I'm going to follow up to this question as soon as we're done.
You remember the 8-round revolver thing? I think that was the other way around, because that caught everybody off guard. Nobody was prepared for that. Let's see.
Wait, 8-round revolver, that's a good thing.
Pardon?
You were saying the 8-round revolver thing was a good thing.
No, the way it was brought about, I think, was totally done completely wrong because of the classifier issues. It was too quick. Came out of nowhere, and so I think that was a bad decision. I think, if I remember correctly, I think Mike Voigt was behind the push to buy Steel Challenge, and like I said, I was opposed to it to begin with, but I think it was a great move in order to grow the sport. I think it's a great way to bring people into competitive shooting, and we see it at the local level. I started the first Steel Challenge Club in South Carolina, and was kind of reluctant at first, but it serves as such a great tool to bring new shooters into the sport because it's not intimidating. People can come out, learn the gun handling, learn the rules and all of that, and get comfortable before they're actually thrown in to the drawing, the running, and all that kind of stuff. And so that, to me, in recent times, was a good decision by the leadership of USPSA. That affects the grassroots level of the organization.
All right, Hopkins, you had a follow-up?
Yeah, I have a little follow-up on that. Another question from Facebook. The foundation of our sport, financial and social, is the local clubs. What are you, as president, going to do to increase support for the local clubs?
Well, that's just it. Right now I see very little support from the local club. Our customer service is terrible. You have match directors emailing headquarters for assistance, for information on Steel Challenge, and they're not getting responses. That's the first thing. We have to improve the customer service from headquarters to our clients, which are the clubs. All right, all the support they need, any kind of response they need, needs to be like that. These are volunteers. These are people who don't get paid to go out there on Friday afternoons and set up matches, to get the classifiers processed or get the issues with the classifiers processed. You start thumbing your nose at them, you get discontent or you get people quitting.
So, we don't want to be IDPA, is what you're saying.
Right. Definitely not. And so, that's just it. I mean, the customer service and the support of the clubs is what needs to be first and foremost, because that is the blood of the sport. That's where our money comes from the mission counts and all of that, and that is where we need to. That's where our energy needs to be focused, is at the club grassroots level. I mean, I know I was a section coordinator for 12 years. I was been a match director for I don't even know how long now. And it's frustrating when you don't get support from your head organization. So we need to take a look at that. And again, that all goes back to the management structure. Are we set up now, considering how much we have grown, to support this type of structure? And that's a question we need to sit down and look at and ask.
All right. This next one it's not really a question, it's just a comment, but I thought it was interesting enough that it warrants response. We've had a run with the big name industry insider GM. Now we need a businessman who understands a predominantly volunteer organization. We also need to rewrite the bylaws to actually give the president the power he needs to fix some things and implement new ideas, while not being hamstrung by the board of directors. We need to stop the good old boys club mentality in the USPSA leadership. This guy dropped this comment on there. This sounds like this could have been written by you, Jack, but it wasn't.
I promise it was not. But it's a valid point. See, that's a lot of what I've heard. You know, I mentioned the club mentality of how things are being managed. You know, the bylaws. That's an interesting. It all goes back to taking a look at the structure. Does the president need more authority? Do we need to do away with a popularly elected president and go with a stronger CEO? If we do that, that means we need to add an at-large seat on the board to break the tie. But are we better served? I mean, when you really look at it, are there redundancies now with the current executive director's position and the presidency?
Well, what do you think? What's your sense of it, Jack, right now?
I would, you know, I guess it's hard for me to say, given what has been happening or not happening in the last few years. I'd like to go in and give it a shot and try to be a strong leader, but the key is this. It's not just the president. The board has to be willing to make the changes and make the decisions too. Are we seeing that?
So
now, we're getting 6 new board members this year?
Yeah, something like that.
So
well, we had 2 guys rage quit last year.
Yes.
And a few other guys are kind of leaving, so we'll get a lot of new ones. Why do you think there's going to be 6 new guys? That we've
are we electing six new area directors?
It might not all be new though. Might be some re-elects.
I thought only 2 are going up for re-election. I have to go back and check that, but I thought the last count was 2 were seeking re-election.
Okay.
So
what you're saying is, if you get in there and you devise your master strategy to right the ship, you present that to the board, and they say, "Suck it, Jack. We don't like your plan, man." Then what? What's the next play?
You have to. A good leader has to reach out to the board first, individually. That would be my plan, and present the plans. I want to know what they want to do, and you know, and then see and find the common ground and see, you know, the low-hanging fruit. What can we do first?
What if you I don't know, based on you've got guys quitting the board angrily during board meetings or something like that.
Right.
I've not sat in a board meeting, but it might be pretty heated, or maybe there are some guys that are particularly thick-headed or stupid in some way. You might have to twist some arms, right? That's as I'm listening to you talk. It's kind of like are you gonna go to war with these guys if need be, or what?
Going to war may have been why we have some of the problems we have now. I think you need to be able to negotiate with some of these guys, and I don't know. You know, it's going to be hard to see. Only time will tell. If I win, I'm going to just have to see what we can get done. I'm hoping that there's going to be enough new members on the board that are going to have a vision to want to change where we are. I mean, obviously, there are issues, and they need to be addressed. And you know, I want to help. I think lack of leadership is why we've had a lot of this stalemate.
Okay. The final Facebook question. Everyone talks about growing the sport.
Yeah.
What would we do if we actually grew? Most major matches sell out in a matter of days or even hours. Local matches are getting so crowded that we have to spend all damn day out there. You have to pre-register for some local matches now. Squads are full, and it's a pain in the ass to get squatted with your buddies. This Jay Townsend says his local match has to run a waiting list. WTF. A local match with 6 or 7 stages and 100-plus shooters isn't that fun. I'm missing some majors because I didn't sign up 6 months in advance. So what are we going to do if we grow? Is the answer more major matches on the same weekend or more sections and areas? It seems to me that 10 or 20% growth would crush us. We may be at a tipping point. What do you think about that, Jack?
It's a catch-22. I mean, we have to have growth to offset the members we're losing. I mean, do we actually know? Do we have an actual concrete number of the active members we have? Have we seen that? I mean, an actual, this is how many people we have. Yeah, I've seen the wait lists and all of that with the online registration, but it's a catch-22. We have to have people coming into the sport. But it's a phenomenon that, you know, that I've really only experienced or seen since online registration has come about. You know, the matches selling out like they do, and you know, yeah, I've seen club matches record turnouts now. Got to grow more clubs, but how are we going to do that? How are we going to foster the growth of more clubs unless there's some way to get seed money out to clubs, get people to want to volunteer to set up new clubs, the facilities. Here in South Carolina, it's a lot harder because you know, we don't have that much open land. And so, you know, I'm sure other states are the same way. So, you know, new clubs may not be the answer, but we need to reach out to indoor clubs. Well, what kind of marketing are we doing for indoor clubs to reach out and grow that, you know, clubs? And we have, here in Columbia, we have five indoor ranges, not one club for USPSA. You know? So it's a catch-22. We got to have the membership, but you know, I really don't know how to address that. I know people, like we were talking about earlier, I know people who are driving an extra hour just to avoid waiting all day to shoot a club match.
Well, one thing that I think I've seen area matches doing in the last few years is we're going to close our area match to people outside the area for the first you know, couple weeks of registration, and then after that we'll open it up.
I think that might be a good idea.
So we're talking about restricting major match attendance, basically making it tougher to get into major matches. That maybe you're not a part of that area or whatever.
It's already, you know, tougher to get into them now. I mean, we had an issue with our last state match where we actually had state champions from last year that failed to get in on time. And, you know, there was a worry that they weren't going to be able to shoot the match. So, you know, there needs to be some kind of adjustment for that. But again, nobody we didn't have this problem 2 years ago. But or has anybody been thinking about how to resolve it? No, that's something that we need to look at. I think area residents should get, you know, priority in certain matches. You know.
Yeah. All right. Sure. Good. Hopkins, you have a follow-up on divisions, or you want to ask about divisions? I think.
Yeah. Jack, how do you see the divisions we currently have, and what changes do you want to see in the future? All about divisions.
Okay. I'm concerned about adding new divisions. You know, I would entertain this production optics as a provisional division. But it concerns me then that we're going to have too many, and how do we handle that? Does that mean I mean, you look at adding another division? Is that another nationals?
Yes.
How do we figure that out? And to me, that's a problem because we already, you know, can we afford the nationals we have? I mean, that's a question right now because we have, you know, we look at the issues right now with paying our bills. So, you know, I don't want to add a new division. I don't want to do that right now. Limited 10, I'm sitting there questioning now, is it really necessary? You know, the states that have magazine capacities, that 10 round is going to apply across the board, right?
They have a rule built into the rules now that if a match is held in where a restricted capacity state, it reverts to the capacity of the state.
Correct.
So you feel we're fixed okay for divisions now?
I would want to take a look at L10.
So you'd maybe, like L10, what's your gut feeling? Cut it or keep it?
Right now, based upon the participation I'm seeing, it may be a candidate for cutting. Again, I want to look at the cost. Look at the nationals again. I want to see how much money is.
Well, to be fair, Jack, I don't think most people really view the division question as a financial one. You know, it's like do you think this should be a thing? Should Lim 10 be a thing that we do?
Well,
I mean, that's more the question. Like, let's take money out of it. Just, what do you feel? What's your sense of it? Should it be a division or not?
I just don't think it's necessary now. I mean, let's look at why it came about. The assault weapons ban, I just don't think it's necessary now.
All right.
I think there's one we could cull.
All right.
I think do that.
And similarly, production optics. Money aside, should that be a thing or not? I mean, if you're going to add a division, is production optics the one that you personally would look at? Or is this more reactive to the 6 people online that want it?
It doesn't appeal to me. I haven't seen that much of an interest. Yeah, there've been a couple of people that have expressed interest to me, and I said, my response has been, if there is enough interest, I would support it. As a provisional division. But until now, until I see that kind of data, see that kind of interest, I don't think we need it now. I'm just not sold on it. I would entertain it as a provisional division, but I don't.
What does that mean?
Huh?
So
what does provisional mean?
Provisional. Let's see.
I remember the days when single stack was provisional, but
correct.
Perhaps not everyone does.
Correct. That's exactly what it is, meaning that you can set up a division for it at a major match, and it's not an official division in our rule books until it's approved by the board. There's a bunch of steps that have to go through with it, and rules established for it.
But that's on the track to making it a division, right? I mean, once it's a provisional division, then you got a few guys buying gear for it, and then at that point it's like, well, should we have it or not? And then those guys, if it becomes not a division, then those guys would probably justifiably be pissed off that they spent their money on a production optics, the gamiest production optics gun they can get, and they've got no place to shoot it.
But what about modified? Didn't that division die?
That was an IPSC thing.
Oh, okay.
Candace.
Well,
but it did die. The same, again, there was not enough interest in it, and I'd like us to take a look at some of our own division. I'd like to see production get more consistent with IPSC production in round count, for example. I'd like to see round count in production. I mean, why do we need to limit production to 10 rounds?
Well, why do we need to limit it to 15?
Well, if you go to Europe, you're gonna be shooting 15, right?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, so, I mean, wouldn't you want a little bit of consistency there?
I don't really care.
Well,
the flavor of the matches is so different. I feel like I have a lot of extra rounds for IPS or shooting IPSC. But there's, to be honest, there's like 10 of us in the U.S. that shoot IPSC matches regularly.
Mm-hmm.
IPSC production anyway, so I don't think you need to cater to me to make it consistent for me.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, I'm just thinking that for the most part, your average person that goes out and buys a Glock, why not allow them to load 15 rounds in their 9mm Glock to come out and play with us?
Oh man.
Why tag them if they have 11 in the magazine at the start of the gun? I mean, I'd like to see a little more consistency across the board.
So you think bringing us more in line with IPSC rules is a positive thing?
Not all of the rules.
So we should be more consistent with IPSC for the rules that you like.
Yeah, I just think that the rules would make it easier for the average person to come out and shoot with us.
Okay. All right, Jack, this is pretty good. You guys have any follow-ups?
Well, I just have one more question for me.
Yeah.
I mean, why do I need to vote for USPSA president? I mean, what difference is it really going to make? I mean,
well,
that's kind of just...
It's a good question, and today the reason that you need to look at that pretty much came to light, and it's going back to this deal with the Nationals. Most people who had that most of the people who have been, oh, I just want to shoot, I don't care about the politics and all of that. Well, now it's getting to be real, meaning that we haven't paid for nationals. We've had one national, the World Speed Shooting Championship, is going to be canceled because of, and I'm going to say, lack of leadership. All right, that's why it's important. You have to have somebody who's going to make sure the president's responsibility is the nationals. That's one of the key things, is to put these on. And so if you're a person who likes to go to the nationals, potentially could not have a nationals. I mean, this is the issue that came up today, and this is why it's important to be involved. Your rules, you need to be involved. If a rule comes down that you don't like, you need to be involved and pay attention to your area directors, who you're electing for them as an area director, and your president. If you don't like the way the money is going, all right, we're going to run short. Let's just say, what happens? What's the normal reaction if revenues are cut short? Dues go up, fees go up.
Services get cut.
Exactly, and so.
Don't you just print more money?
Huh?
Can you just print more money?
USPSA fund.
Oh, it's a federal government thing. I'm sorry.
USPSA fund box.
Remember, I left them. And that's why it's important. And Ben, you asked something in an earlier question from an online question, and I forgot to address this, about the pro shooters. I think having a president who is sponsored and all of that in the past has been a distraction. People always question the motives or the intent behind some of certain actions that were taken. I think now is the time to remove that potential question out of the equation, so that the new person can come in and focus solely on the job.
All right, this is good, because this kind of leads into the last question I have for you. So people sit back. It's like, we've got 4 guys running. They all seem like good guys, nice guys, capable guys, whatever. Why should I vote for Jack Suber, as opposed to these other guys that seem nice and capable and have good and productive ideas? What sets you apart?
I want you to look at my resume and my background, and it is not just working with nonprofits. It's actually getting into the meat and the bones of a nonprofit, how they operate, how to recommend changes to the way a nonprofit works and functions. Okay, I have considerable background in that, not only the management aspects but also financially. We've seen a lot of issues with the financial management of USPSA. I think the membership needs to know that they have somebody up there that can look and manage the money of the organization effectively. I retired, let's see, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. I can do this full time. I can put as much effort into it as needed. And, we haven't had that. I know a couple other guys have said that they'll quit. I'm ready to go the day I get the word. And, like I said earlier, my first thing would be on a plane to go to Burlington and start looking at what we do. I'm a planner. That's my background. Is looking how to taking the plans from nonprofits and helping them put their goals together to do what they were intended to do. And so, if you want somebody with a background in nonprofits and managing nonprofits and keeping nonprofits on the straight and narrow, then I'm the guy that you want.
All right, excellent. All right, well, that does it for my questions. Does anybody have any follow-ups? No? All right, Jack. No, Hopkins. You guys were going to say something? You're good. All right, Jack. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, I appreciate y'all.
Shout-outs?
No, not really. I like the idea of this, and I'd like to see whoever gets elected to, consider doing this maybe quarterly to interact with the membership. I think that's what the membership wants, is communication. And I think a lot of the issues that we've had in the past few years could have been properly addressed with good communication. And I think this is a great way to do it.
Well, it works for me. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Jack. We really appreciate it. And is there any way people can reach you if they want to send you questions?
Absolutely. Facebook. I've got a personal page and a page for president. Email, phone on my webpage, jacksuper4USPSApresident.com. And feel free to ping me. I try to be responsive. I don't think I've missed anybody's messages yet, even the nasty ones.
Well, that's excellent, Jack. I'll be sure to send you a nastygram myself. Thank you so much for coming.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.